Good to see you again. I'm Jay Hicks with Gerald Properties, and we're back at Goolrick's checking up on some of the work that's been going on since we saw you last. As you'll remember, we were working on the tiles, removing them as carefully as we could for restoration of putting those tin ceiling tiles back up in their ornate grandeur. You can get an idea of the work that's been done and see some of the beams that have been exposed, and really gets into showing what issues we're dealing with the building. And of course, with a few additions and advances in technology that led to electricity and plumbing and gas lines being built, there's all kinds of challenges with this building. But the one that seems to rear its head the most for us is fire. And this building has been exposed to at least 3 fires that we know of, and today we're going to show you a little bit of the damage that's been done and some of the work we're going to do to restore this building back to its strong structural integrity. So come on, let's go check it out. Okay, here we are on the George Street side of Goolrick's, and we're going to go inside the basement. Not sure if many of you have been through the thresholds of this door, but today you're going to get that chance. I wanted to point out a couple of things before we got into the details. Standing in the threshold of a door of a wall that's clearly a part of an addition that was placed here sometime over history, and it continues on as you go to the front of the building. You can clearly see the designation of doors and windows in the next wall, and then there's one more interior wall where the original building was constructed. Just a part of the little history here down here in the basement of Goolrick's. It's also a place where a lot of the issues we're dealing with are really revealed. As you can see in this room, we've got lolly columns in place, and we have as many as 50 of those in the basement, helping to support what's left of the floor above us. You can also start to see, like I talked about, the advances in technology, the plumbing that was necessary in order to equip the building with those services. And you can see where some liberties were taken with the walls, and holes were just punched in so those services could be delivered without issue. But we'll come up in the front, we'll really see some of the history of the building. As you walk in, you'll notice that the size of the room has shrunk on us, and reveals much more closely some of the issues with the fire that we're dealing with. A lot of the beams here that we're dealing with have been severely deteriorated because of the fire, and then lots of Band-Aids have been placed in the basement to help support that floor. An indication of that is this I-beam here. It's a steel I-beam that was placed sometime in the 30s to help support what was a concrete floor that was replaced above us. And you will be able to see here that local lumber businessman that's pretty prominent in the history books of Fredericksburg is J.W. Masters. His name is labeled on this I-beam here for us. All right, well, we're making our way to a place in the basement where I've got to continue to be careful from my head here. But some significant work has been done here over the last couple days, and I'm here with Josh of Gerald Properties, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on down here. Josh, we can see some of the fire damage. We can see some of the services that have been installed here to create some of the issues we're dealing with. So tell us a little bit about what we're doing to try and fix that.
Yeah, so Jay, you kind of hit it right on the nose. As you can see, there's so many different factors that are happening down here in the underbelly of Goolrick's. Our plan of action right now is just to strip the floor system as it is due to the hodgepodge of different fixes and solutions that have happened over the years. And we're going to try to bring everything level to one set bearing, just zero out the whole floor system, and then rebuild it back as new. So starting from Caroline Street, carrying all back toward the kitchen area, there's actually a height difference of about 7 inches in the floor system. So upon putting in a new floor system, we're going to set it all back to level and brand new.
All right, so what are we looking at here? We look like we've got some fire damage, is there anything we're going to be doing with that?
So historically, we know of Goolrick's having 2 different fires, one in 1897 and one in 1919. So what we're going to try to do is we actually want to try to salvage as much of this as we can, but we are going to have to do a lot of touch up on many of the pieces of burnt and charred wood.
All right, so what we found down here was a lot of scabbing, a lot of piecing back together.
Yes.
Going to come in and put it all solid and new.
That is exactly
solid
correct.
And new. So one of the more interesting features of Goolrick's that we found as we started to tear the layers off is this ceramic tile. As you can see, we've had to do a lot of scrubbing and peeling to get to this point, but it reveals a Greek Revival style meandering path on the border. We have the hexagon floral pattern here in the middle of it, and we understand that all this was placed after the concrete floor was installed somewhere around 1933, and it was such an example of this type of ceramic tile work that the company, Mosaic Tile Company in the District of Columbia up in Washington, used it for its advertisements. And I think we found an article around Fredericksburg that indicated that this tile work, when it was installed, was some of the finest ceramic tile work that could be found anywhere in the Fredericksburg area. So the passion with this project, we're looking to faithfully recreate this floor, and have found a company in the Midwest that sounds like they're going to be able to replicate very closely what we have here existing on the floor to be able to reinstall for future generations to enjoy. We appreciate you joining us for this episode. Come back next time as we start to pry into and demolition the first floor of this old soda fountain.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Please follow us on all our socials to stay up to date with the latest happenings.